Hey, onesies, Josh Williams here, and thanks for checking out this week's episode of the One Man Podcast. It's always free and available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and many more, as well as on the web at onemanpodcast.com. So please, whatever platform you're listening on, like and subscribe. While you're at it, give it a rating, leave a review. Why? Because it helps the podcast, and I'd really appreciate it. How about that? What about social media? Search One Man Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to keep up with what's going on there. Get a little extra content for yourself. And finally, to get in touch, please send your emails to contact@onemanpodcast.com. You send it, I read it on the podcast. That's the deal. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Demers.
I'm K. Trevor Wilson.
Hey, it's Krista Allen.
Hi, this is Rick Mercier.
What's up, guys? This is Paul Verzi, and you are listening to the One Man Podcast. Yeah!
My name is Josh Williams, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 185, for Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. How's it going, onesies? How are you guys doing? Did you have a good week? Everything going good in your lives? I finished my Nespresso tour. All done that, and I made a bunch of meal prep, too. I finished yet another game, huh? Look at me conquering the world. I'm going to wish a happy birthday to one of the best comics out there. Well, who was out there? Tell you a little bit more about just some of the little hanging I did with some buddies. What else did I do? Anything else fun? I got my aroma kits that arrived. I'll tell you about them. And I had a buddy over. We tasted some whiskey. So why don't I just get right into it? All right. I'll just talk about all sorts of stuff. Like I said, I finished the Nespresso tour. Nothing to report. Fuck, I'm glad it's over. That's all I can say. I'm glad it's over for now. I'm looking forward to some time to myself. But like right into it, I have gone from the Nespresso thing to having to do PlayStation 5 merch. And just to tell you about that, it's really nothing special. I've done a couple of them with my buddy Jad. We went to hit up. Jad's one of my partners at the Nespresso tour, and we ended up hitting up some of the stores we had to do. We had to do some Best Buys and some grocery stores, basically just building like a display that would latch onto the end of an end cap or whatever in a store. And with Best Buy, it's just changing the light box signage, which to most people are like, what? But it's basically just the overhead logos for the company, changing them up. So easy enough stuff. It was just that it started snowing in Ottawa, and it made it difficult to get around. The traffic took forever because you're basically driving to the Best Buys in the city. So it's like, they're not next to each other because that wouldn't make sense. You're driving to different, big lengths of the city to hit the different stores in that area. So it took us some time. Forgive me one sec. I got a big old burp coming. Big old burp. Oh, it's just sitting there. Come on. Get out. Get out. All right. It's not going to happen. It'll happen when I continue to talk. Excuse me. There it is. There it is. There it was. Basically felt a crack in my back. As it came up. The old chiropractic mouth farting. So yeah, I did that today, and yeah, that was the thing. Well, I say today. I'm late on this podcast, guys. This one's late. This one's a week late. I'm going back in time. But theoretically, when this podcast should have been recorded, I had all this merching to do, so I was going to do it on a Tuesday when I was done all this stuff. Didn't get home until late. Was exhausted, and I try not to give you guys a low energy podcast. I try, and then sometimes I'm so fucking far behind and late getting things done that I'm like, I gotta get this thing done, right? I gotta get it over with. Got to get all the fun stuff done. So basically I did that, and I still have some more to do, quote unquote, tomorrow, AKA 3 weeks ago. No, I'm kidding. A week ago. And, it's really nothing special. Everyone's, when's the PlayStation 5 coming out? When do we have more? I'm like, listen, we just work for a marketing company. That's it. So it was easy peasy. That part's not super interesting, and I won't waste your time with it. But, one of the things that was kind of cool was we went to, Bayshore. We went to a place. I don't remember the name of the place. I think it's like Chili Chili's or something, but it's a hot sauce store, at Bayshore. So this would have been like the most recent thing here. And, when we were finished, it was sort of in the area, and they have like, if you've ever watched the show, Kamar was like guesting with me at one point on this podcast a long time ago, and he had mentioned the show Hot Ones on YouTube. And Hot Ones is a fun show. Check it out. But Hot Ones, it's basically like a bunch of celebrities eating increasingly hotter wings and answering questions. Well, this place here has a bunch of it has the vast majority, if not the entirety, of the hot sauces that are featured on Hot Ones. And then a shit ton more as well. So it's a store, just basically it's a hot sauce store. But then they've got like barbecue sauces and things like that. And it turns out that Jack Daniel's has a line of like wing sauces and barbecue sauces and things like that. So I actually ended up picking one up, and it was like, give me 1 second. I'm going to pause it so I can go grab it. It's across the room. All right. Called Historic Lynchburg. They don't call it Jack Daniel's. It is a barbecue sauce bottle that looks just like a Jack Daniel's bottle, the exact same size, that black and white, iconic lettering and font on the front, but it doesn't say anything. It just says Lynchburg, which is Lynchburg, Tennessee, where Jack Daniel's is made. It's gluten-free, guys, with no MSG, hot and spicy. It's called Swine Apple, rib glaze, and barbecue sauce for those who eat high on the hog. I don't know what's going on with me lately. Last couple of days, if I talk for more than 1 minute, I start coughing. Our family recipe was created before the turn of the century. The old folks wanted a distinct flavor and realized that local Tennessee whiskey was the answer. The family is proud of their delicious barbecue rib chicken and ham glaze and dipping sauce. We are committed to providing the finest traditional old-time quality. Blah, 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 blah. We recommend that our glaze be basted on the last 5 to 10 minutes of cooking to allow the flavor to penetrate the meat and then serve hot right out of your smoker or grill. Well, we'll try that swine apple. I was thinking of like putting it on like, what do you call it? Like chicken tenders or something that has like a breading on it. Just sort of to toss it in that and get that flavor all over the breading. But I could brush it onto some chicken or something like that. Did it say chicken? I think it said like fucking ham. Yeah, barbecue, rib, chicken, and ham glaze. So I'd put that shit on chicken. I don't know if I tried on a steak, because swine apple, I like the idea of the pineapple taste on a chicken. Anyways, that's what I bought there. I was going to get some wing sauce, because I was talking about how like you see these little bottles of hot sauce. And I know that when I like worked in a kitchen, or when I've been in the kitchen at, restaurants, stuff like that, they, if they're making wings or whatever, they basically just slather the wings in a sauce, right? And that's going to be a cheaper sauce. You can't take these little jar sauces, a few ounces or whatever. They're like $12.99 in the stores. There's no way you're dumping that whole bottle in a fucking bowl and swashing. There isn't even enough sauce in there to coat, a dozen wings the way they're coated in restaurants. So I'm like, so what's the story with these guys? I'm like, how do they get that sauce on there? And they're always like, we don't know. We just suggest, people maybe take a little brush and brush it on them or something. And I was like, all right. So like when you ask, like, because you're watching Hot Ones, the wings all look the same, but they've got these different sauces on them. So I would almost want to know, like, hey, how do you guys apply the sauces to the wings? Anyways, that'd be a great question to send into the show. But yeah, so I'm like, how do they do this? And then they were like, well, there's wing sauces that you toss in. And that's when they showed me the wall of wing sauces, where I saw the Jack Daniels. Oh, it looks like a little Jack Daniels bottle. Look out, sure enough, Lynchburg, Tennessee. I'm like, oh, well, fucking there you go. Easy peasy, right? So, excuse me, that was the genesis of that. And then they're like, oh, and they got some barbecue sauce as well. Isn't that a great tale, guys? A great story. But if you like hot sauces, that's definitely something to check out as a hot sauce store, because there's so many different kinds. And, Jad picked up like 3 or 4 of them. And he got one that's called like Blueberry Hell, which has got like a bunch of Simon, my roommate, got one time. I tried it out, and it was like, it definitely was a hot sauce, definitely hot, but it also had like a very distinct blueberry taste to it as well. So if you're a hot sauce fanatic, aficionado, enthusiast, definitely check out a hot sauce store, because those things are bomb diggity. What else did I do? I did some meal prep. I finished Diablo 3. I'm not going to talk about that very much, but it was just a grind. It was a grind, and sitting around killing my time in the non-Nespresso hours, I was happy to do that, let me tell you, because I'm so glad that's over. I'm not even going to. I keep saying, oh, am I going to talk about it? I am talking about it. I'm so glad it's over. My boss has asked me, hey, do you want to do some stuff on the retail side? But no, I'm done with it. Done with it. And even though this week is supposed to be episode 185, I will tell you that I have since been given nothing but tasks, and people need errands run, and work has been thrown. I'm actually going to be hosting at Absolute Comedy starting December 2nd till whatever the Sunday is. Let me get a proper date for it. December 2nd to the 6th. I will be headlining at Absolute Comedy, which I pushed back real hard and said, no, I don't. I really just want a week off. I don't want to be working. Just 1 week. I was working, right? I was a good bitch, out working, earning money. I just want a day where I can wake up, not have, like I sit in my pajamas all day and watch TV and movies or something like that. And I know, but to you guys, it sounds like that's what I do all the fucking time. But in all fairness, I don't. I'm out doing shit, and I just tell you guys about the parts where I'm sitting around doing fuck all. But I'm efficient, all right? So game playing McGee, I finished Diablo 3. I was efficient, banged that out, another platinum trophy. Only my gamer listeners give a fuck about that, but hey, I'll move right on, right? I listen to other podcasts where guys talk about all sorts of shit that's super specific into the likes, and that's just part of me, right? If you want to know what does Josh Williams do in his non-com hours, I fucking bang out video games, I read books, I visit sauce stores, I sip whiskey. Oh, do I sip on the whiskey? I haven't actually a lot lately, because I've been fucking drinking coffee all day, every day, that I'm just like, oh, I can't, my liver. And I buy beer. You know what? I'll talk about that. Is that this podcast? I got both weeks ahead of me. I'm recording this the Tuesday right before episode 186. So 186 will be out on time, guys. I'll have that one for you right when it needs to be. No, I'll talk about it next week. But yeah, so what else did I do? I was hanging with my buddy Paul Meyerhog. You guys, I did get that episode on time, so I recorded a podcast with Paul. We had a great time. It was a fun episode. I love hanging with that guy. I love spending time with him. So funny, so kind. Really just an amazing human being, guys. I can't recommend checking his stuff out more. We went to lunch, which was so much fun. We just went to a pizza joint here in Ottawa, restaurant. We were the only two people in the entire restaurant, so it was great. We even sat socially distanced from each other. So a lot of fun. And we just shot the shit, man. We had, it was great. And I'm sure I'll polarize some people with this one, but Paul is like me in the fact that ham and pineapple, okay, Hawaiian pizza, number one, his favorite. Mine too. I will fuck up a Hawaiian pizza any day of the week. Love it. So many people, and I'm certain I have had this conversation on the podcast before, but so many people love to say that pineapple has no business on pizza. Well, to them I say, pineapple doesn't. Okay, let's fucking address this. All right, you got your tastes and you're going to defend them to the death. Well, sweet and salty, a marvelous combination in food. Okay, a lot of people say sweet and salty, great. Sweet and salty granola bars from Nature's Path or whatever the fuck it's called. That's a good one, right? Sweet and salty, absolutely delicious. You know, a little Coke with your fries and your burger, sweet and salty, let me tell you. Pineapple and cheese, sweet and salty. Flawless, tried and true flavor combinations. How often do they go, hey, fungus and salty? You know what I love? Fungus and salty. Do we have fungus and salty? Mushrooms on pizza is disgusting. If you are the kind of person that puts mushrooms on pizza, yet says pineapple has no place on pizza, you're a fucking idiot. And I try not to outright insult my people. Now listen, you can like your fungus on your pizza, and when someone offers Hawaiian, you're like, yeah, sure. Then you're just you're an open-minded person. You're just like, hey, look, I'll do what works, and I'm good with that. But if you're one of these mouth-breathing, narrow-minded, let's go ahead and call you a rubberhead, okay? If you're one of these rubberheads that says salad goes on pizza. Oh, can we get spinach and tomatoes? I know the sauce is predominantly crushed and pureed tomato, but can we get more? Can I pay you more? Can I waste one of my topping choices on a thicker version of something that's already on this? Can I do that? Is there any way I can get like green can I just take like my salad and put it on my pizza? Like onions and peppers and tomatoes and spinach. can we just put all that on my pizza, please? Because then I can just eat it and not feel like I'm adding calories. Or like, it's not like bad for me because I'm like getting my vegetables in it. If you're eating pizza, you're eating pizza. All right? It's like having butt sex and asking someone how their day is. Oh, I'm a good person because I'm listening to your day, but I'm also hurting you rectally. That's a bit of a stretch, but I'm just saying, hey, no pun intended. But I'm just saying ultimately, you're a fucking idiot if you wanted a salad, go have a fucking salad. You know, if you're going to eat something debauched, are you putting fucking peppers and tomatoes on top of your pie and your cake? You fucking morons. No. All right? And I'm sorry, but it doesn't... Oh, it's a lot nicer with a... Then go have a fucking Tuscan lasagna if you want cheese and pasta sauce. Go have that. Stop fucking with pizza. And again, this applies only to those idiots, rubber-headed morons. This is your first time tuning into one of my podcasts. I'm not usually this aggressive. There's been times, but this is just that I just think it's so fun. This comes back to my thoughts of the world all the time. Oh, excuse me. The beer's coming back up. Even the beer's getting fired up here. This is only going out to those people who are avidly against pineapple on pizza. All right. So if you have the wherewithal to put other fruits, because apparently fruits are things that have the seeds in the inside. So peppers and tomatoes also considered fruits. But again, you're a moron. You didn't know that. So when people are like, fruit has no business on pizza, well, you're already putting fruit on pizza. But the idea that something sweet like pineapple has no place on pizza, sweet and salty, we've already established, for anyone with intelligence whatsoever, I've already established that sweet and salty is one of the most classic, tried and true flavor combinations of any food. It has more of a place on pizza than your stupid salad and your fucking fungus. Okay? So, having said that, I had a delightful, non-judgmental lunch with my buddy Paul Myra because he, the worldly gentleman, traveled so many countries of this world, lived, experienced, absorbed cultures from all over, and was like, you know what? Ham and pineapple is the best. Sweet and salty combination. Amazing. How can you go wrong? How can you, Paul? I second that. I echo your thoughts and your observations, your enlightened vision of pizza. And we sat there, we had a great lunch, crushed that pizza together. And it was really cool. We were actually shooting the shit about all these different sort of like TV shows and things like that. Like not talking about shows per se, but just talking about like these different sketches and things like that, like in the different shows in Canada and the types of sketches that certain shows would do or not do. And we got a mutual friend, Trent McClellan, who is one of the cast members of This Hour's 22 Minutes. And we were like, Paul was saying that he was going to be doing Trent's podcast in the near future. And we were just shooting the shit about all these different sketch ideas, which I'd love to share with you guys, but I'm going to send them off to Trent and see if he has any interest in them and he can pitch them or whatever. And if they become a sketch, I'll give myself a little pat on the back someday and go, hey, I was the one who came up with that. Or just there'll be nothing. But we actually had some really, really cool ideas for some sketches and things like that. And we were just having the underdog pizza. I would say of pizzas, I got to say Hawaiian's the fucking underdog. It's got some fight in it. It's the Rocky Balboa of pizza because it's the one that packs a punch. It's got a lot of fucking heart. It's doing everything right. It deserves to be up there, you know? And in my opinion, it goes the distance with your fungus salad pizza, your denial pizza, your 1 foot in one world, 1 foot in the other world pizza. You want a salad? Go have a fucking salad. Quit lying to yourself. All right. You got bread in your salad. You got fucking cheese in your salad. Go have your fucking salad. All right. Once you puree all that shit together, you can pour it on a piece of focaccia and you can call it fucking loser bread. So stupid. Again, only the people who just eat everything. Good for you. Good for open-minded, worldly, enlightened. Those of you I'm hoping if this influences one of those people, because it's not everyone's personal opinion. You know that one person heard someone say pineapple has no place on pizza, and they're like, yeah, I'm not really thinking about it or evaluating it. I'm just, yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. Some people don't like things. They keep it to themselves. Not this guy. Oh man, I don't like some. I got a fucking audience and a platform. But again, I the amount of times I'm like ham and pineapple, my favorite. You can even switch up. Honestly, you can switch up the meat. Any of the salty meats. You can fucking throw pepperoni or sausage, whatever in there. But that pineapple, just a nice little fucking blast of sweet in there with all that salty, works great for me. Does what it's supposed to do. Even the citrus and the acid in the pineapple cuts through the fat of the cheese and the meats and everything like that. A proven culinary combination. So, just saying, those people who just do it all, I respect you. I respect you. You're not bitching about anything. But those people who heard somebody once say, pineapple has no place on pizza, and lack the experience, the comprehension, the, dare I say, analytical abilities to just go, well, wait a second. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe I was touched too many times by someone that I trusted in dark corners of our cottage. And therefore I developed a psychological barrier to being able to enjoy. Sorry, I'm just laughing at how fucking ridiculous and far I'm going with this, but it's funny to me. I just didn't feel like I deserved sweet. You know what I mean? Like that's, to me, that'll be the new barometer for someone who has, experienced, sexual trauma or, abuse or something like that. And they're just like, I don't like Hawaiian pizza. And I go, hey, listen, it's not your fault. I'll have that Goodwill Hunting moment with you. Listen, it's not your fault. What are you talking about? It's not your fault. Well, I don't understand. It's not your fault. What's going on? It's not your fault. Not you, Josh. Not you. It's not your fault. Fuck you, man. It's not your fault. All right, I'll have a slice. That'll be that moment, guys. And that's how I intend to heal the world going into 2021, is finding the people who don't like Hawaiian pizza. And maybe we'll start regurgitating that, right? Next time someone says pineapple has no place on pizza, I would say your uncle's finger has no place in your ass. But that still doesn't mean it won't happen. Okay, I'm going to move on from this. I could probably go for another 25 minutes on how much I think it's ridiculous for people to say pineapple not on pizza, but fungus and veggies. Okay. Make my fucking point. It was a great lunch is what I'm saying. And at no point did rape or anything like that come into play during lunch. So the views expressed in the One Man Podcast are not those of Paul Meyerha and the pizza place that we were at. I did a spot at Friday at Absolute Comedy. I think Paul and I can't remember what goddamn day we went for lunch. Yeah, it was the day we recorded the podcast. Sorry. He and I were recording the podcast, went back, linked up with my buddy Pete, who hasn't been up for a while. And we went to go see the show. We went to go see Meyer High. I was telling my friends that, like, listen, you guys got to see this guy. He's fucking hysterical. And so Peter and I went, we had a table for two. Oh, nice little romantic heterosexual table. And I did a spot on the show. It was great. I did one joke. But just dusting it off for that. It was a lot of fun. Had a good time. I really enjoyed myself. I really thoroughly enjoyed, being back on stage. Had a good time. My home club right here in Ottawa. It was great. Meyerha did great. Got another buddy, Wafik Nasrallah, who did a spot on that show. So fucking funny. Wafik was working on some new stuff that I have never heard before. Oh my God, is it funny? And Waf and I were talking, and he was like, I got to have you on the podcast soon. He's like, I would love to do it. So may have another guest, interview episode for you guys sometime soon. Again, we want to make sure everyone's socially distanced and everything. Like I'm, as much as it might sound like I'm just seeing different people, I'm making sure that the people I talk to, hey, what's been your regime and this and that. And they tell me. So if it sounds like they're a little too willy-nilly, I, say, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll do it via Zoom or whatever it is. So, great spot. Great show. It was nice to see my buddy Peter again too. Like we really only hung out during the show, and oh no, he came back to the house with me here afterwards, and we had some drinks and shot the shit. It was a good time. It was really, really good time. Happy boy right here. Another thing I did, excuse me, actually, I'll leave it on the Meyerha thing. I took my buddy Paul to the train station, Tuesday morning before, I believe it was Tuesday morning or Monday morning. And, it was just cool to see him one last time. And it was so funny too, because I've got like all this accumulation of stuff I've been buying at Costco. So there's all these like snack foods and things like that. I didn't invest in snack foods, but just little travel things. had these little sesame cracker things, which are like, I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but they're like the little 4-packs. They're like little sesame, kind of like honey, syrupy sort of things. It's basically just sesame seeds covered in a syrup to hold everything together. And then that's it. And they're just little sesame cookie cracker things. Delicious. They're made in Holland. I didn't know that. I thought they were, somewhere here, but no. Only the Dutch thought of just shoving a bunch of sesame fucking seeds together and covering them in syrup just to bond it all together. The old sugar glue. So I threw like one of those in a bag for him. I threw, Paul's a big reader, so I actually gave him the behind the horror book I was reading, because I was like, hey man, I just finished this morning. How about this? And he's like, yeah man, for sure. But I threw a bunch of little snacks in there for him. I threw a yop. I threw an apple, because he tries to eat good, right? So he tries to eat well, eat healthy. So I threw a yop in there, yogurt drink, apple, some of these Dutch cookies. I threw a little bag of cookies in there from the famous Amos cookies. Sandwich in there for him. Some other shit. I'm trying to think. What else did I put in there? Yeah, anyways, whatever. I threw a bunch of crap in there for him and I made him an espresso in a Go cup so he could have that and chuck it out on the train or whatever. It's just a good time for him. You know what I mean? Just a nice old thing from a buddy, Paul. And he was like, oh, that's so great, man. Because he had like a 6-hour train ride, right? So I figured, you know what? Little snacks for you. Here's a book. It was like I send my little boy off to school. And I'm like, I want to make sure that you got a full belly when you get there. So anyways, that was fun. It was cool seeing Paul. It'll be a while before I see him again, but great dude, guys. And I'm going to plug his podcast one more time, the Microdose podcast, with Paul Meyerha and Damon Schroeder. I was actually doing meal prep, and that's where I was listening to his Microdose podcast while I did that. So the last day when I was at Costco, the particular Costco that I was at was doing like artisan bread. So they were doing like, these nice, they bake their own loaves in house. I was watching them do it actually one day when I was there. This big thing of dough, slicing it up, rolling it in, either oats or poppy seeds. And it was a good price. I think it was like 2 loaves for $4. Whereas like you go to the store for like one of these nice loaves, you're paying $4 a loaf. So whatever, it was a good price. And I was like, oh, this is just nice, good, I believe sourdough bread or whatever. It was just delicious looking bread. And I was like, fuck, let's do it. Let's get some sourdough bread. So I picked up 2 of these loaves, but then I was like, you know what? I've also got bagels here and some other stuff. I'm like, I have too much bread. So I'm like, I need to do something to prep this. So I made, I made sandwiches. I went out through actually Costco as I was like, oh, I got a lot of bread already, but it's my last day here. I don't want to come all the way out. This is a far location from where I live. So I figured, well, let's make them into sandwiches. I had, what did I have? I had a thing of like cheese at home that I'd bought for some other purpose. I think I was going to make like breakfast sandwiches and just have cheese or whatever. It was like all this pre-cut cheese, different kinds of cheeses and stuff. So I was like, well, perfect. I've already got the cheese at home. It's already sliced up, easy peasy. Grabbed some turkey and some chicken and some ham. And I basically turned the kitchen into a big production zone for making sandwiches. So, I was toasting the bread because when I make a sandwich, I like it a little bit toasted, nice little bit of crunch right to it. And I don't know. I found that if you're making sandwiches, like a bulk amount of sandwiches, if you toast them, the bread actually stays better longer. Cause what I do with them is I make the whole sandwich. I didn't put pickles on them. Cause pickles, I love pickles on my sandwiches, but pickles would have been too wet. So I did buy Boston lettuce though. I bought 2 heads of Boston lettuce and I was like, this is for some reason, the Boston lettuce, when you put it on a sandwich and wrap it, it stays for like a week without, unlike iceberg, anything that's cut up a bunch is going to get brown and dry and it's got too many contacts with air, but the Boston lettuce is only broken at the bottom. So you get a nice big leaf of that, pardon me, and stick that on a sandwich. Oh, look at me, the cooking channel here. Let me tell you, take a leaf, you put it on a piece of bread. I was also doing, like there's this place near me, which just has what they call a Sherwood sauce. And really all it is mayo, mustard, and pepper all mixed together. But it makes for, actually, believe it or not, when it's mixed together, it has this really good quality to it. So can't recommend it enough. Just ground pepper, mustard, mayo, mix that stuff all up. And then I was applying that to the bread. So having toasted it first, got rid of a lot of the moisture in the bread, made it just, hold the next moisture pretty gosh darn good. right? So now I got the toasted bread, got my Sherwood sauce on there, cup how with a piece of Boston lettuce, throw the meat down on it, the cheese, whack, and then wrap it up in saran wrap. And basically, I think I made like 15 sandwiches out of the loaves that I had. I probably ate one during the process, but I just was like constantly, boom, in the toaster. And then as that's done, I'm making the sandwich, wrapping it all up. Boom, next one comes in the toaster, bread back in. And I just turned the whole fucking kitchen into this production line of making sandwiches, wrapping them all up, and then I stuck them in the fridge in my room. And so for a few days, it was really nice. I was basically able to just, if I was hungry, just go to the fridge, grab a sandwich, munch that down. Delicioso. I also bought, I think I'll talk about that in the next episode. It's not here in my notes, guys. So, guess not really talking about it, but yeah, wicked production line. I was also doing other food prep that day. I did some like pasta that I had, bought some fresh pasta at Costco. And that's the thing too, like being stuck in Costco's with Nespresso's, like every day you're seeing different things go on sale and going, oh, that's a good price. And then buying shit and going, oh, I'm not going to get a chance to make that for a bit. So I did that. I basically made up a bunch of stuff that I kind of had purchased and whatnot. So I did like this ravioli stuff. I blended a pasta sauce that I'd bought, like just a regular jarred pasta sauce, blended the shit of it. I really don't like the texture of tomatoes. I'm not a tomato guy, but I do like tomato sauce. I like the taste of tomatoes. I don't like their texture. There's several textures in a tomato. So yeah, I'll take a spaghetti sauce if I know it's like a thick and chunky sauce. I don't mean thick like it's a thick puree. I'm saying those ones are like thick and then there's big chunks of tomato in it. I will not fuck with that. So I just throw it into the Vitamix, blend the shit out of it. And once it's like a thinner, more consistent sauce, that right where the texture's consistent all the way through, I'll just throw it back in the jar, knock it up. So I did that. I also threw in some like Frank's Red Hot sauce, more pepper and salt, give it a little more thing. Yeah. And then when I'm done, boom, in the pot with all the ravioli, done. Delicious, into the containers, ready to go. Bang, bang. So that's what I did on the weekend. It was great. Like I said, I listened to Paul's podcast, Microdose. Hey. A lot of fun. Let's take a... I watched the movie Black Christmas. I don't know why I watched it. I think I was laying in bed and trying to like fall asleep, but I'm like, I'll watch something. I like horror movies. I've talked to you guys about that in the past, right? I just read Beyond the Horror. And I'm like, oh, Black Christmas. That's one of those, faceless killers, whodunit, who's killing everybody, whatever. And one of the dumbest movies I've seen as of late. It was a little... Yeah, okay, so I'm not one of those guys, like the more I listen, the more intelligent I get about this whole, like it's an interesting time for growth as human beings. And by that, I mean, like there is overcorrections, and I think it's part of progress, just how it happens. I've heard other people say it's like a pendulum. It swings too far. When something happens, it swings too far out. And then when it comes back again, it sort of doesn't go as far back as it was originally. So when it settles, it's just the progress is more forward than it was originally, which is fine. But there's that it swings out too far initially and everyone loses their mind and whatever it is. My thoughts on a lot of these things, like I was listening to my buddy Trent McClellan's podcast, the Generators, today, and he was talking with someone. It was just saying like they were talking about how like when they saw like 3 female sportscasters on a channel, like no males, and they're like, oh come on, they're putting like women on, whatever, you know what I mean? Like Trent's position was not that, but just saying when you're listening to people that are like, oh look at this, it's all women now in the sports, what do they know about? It's like, well, there are 3 professionals, they do have insights on it. It's not to say that yes that's the way it should be, but that feeling that a guy gets looking at 3 women on a panel and feeling like, what the fuck, there's no guys there now, it's just all women and they know everything. That feeling that you're having as a guy, and your first thought is like, well, that's stupid. That shouldn't be that way. What they were describing was like, well, yeah, but that's how women have felt for the longest time. There's all these different things where it's just men on it and women don't feel represented in the slightest. It was actually a great podcast. Like I really, Trent's podcast is always great, but it was the most recent one. And I believe the name of the woman he was speaking to was Christina. But she was super intelligent because one of the questions that she was asked, she's an entrepreneur. She works designing, medical equipment and everything like that. She owns a company. They design medical equipment. And she was saying this one time, someone asked her a question. It's like, what is it like being a female entrepreneur? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer that question. I can tell you what it's like being an entrepreneur, but like, it's not like I was a male entrepreneur and now I'm a female entrepreneur and I can tell you the difference between the two. Like, I've only been a woman. That's just how I was born. So like, I can tell you what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I can't tell you the differences and everything like that. Like, and I appreciate people who think like that. Rather, like, there's always those people who are like, oh, my side's got it so much worse and your side has everything. Like, you can't, it goes for everybody. You really can't speak to someone else's experiences if you've never had it. You can't say what it's like to be black. You can't say what it's what it's like to be white. You can't say what it's like to be male. You can't say what it's like to be female if you're not. It's that simple. Okay? It really is. So just live your life, be a good person. And if you're not, whatever the other thing is, shut the fuck up. All right. I think that more people who are trying to look at it fair and when you really do try to put yourself into someone else's shoes, you'll understand. So it's funny to me, like I said, when you got 3 female sports broadcasters and guys are going, what the fuck? Look at 3 women. Oh, they're just trying to put all women. Da-da. Whatever your blah, blah, blah is, that feeling that you have is like, this makes no sense. Why is there no guys? Well, that's how women have felt for the longest time. So it's, corrections are being made, things like that. But it's, I don't know. To me, it's interesting to be a little bit more open-minded with, I think it was just cool to hear intelligent people talk about that particular kind of thing. Even this woman, Christina, was saying how, like, when she's getting things, she doesn't want to be getting them because she's a woman and she ticks a box. She's like, don't give it to me because I'm a woman. Give it to me because my product is the best, or my business is the best, or my approach is the best, or my research is the best. Don't give it to me because I'm a woman. I don't want it because I'm a woman. And some people who complain and are loud would happily take it for that reason. They just want it. They don't want to earn it. They don't want to have it. I'm saying male, female, whatever it is, anybody, anything. That's why I was saying, like, that year, I think I mentioned this in the podcast, but the year that they had like all female presenters at the Oscars, I thought that was pathetic. I didn't think it was pathetic because they're like, empowering women. I just thought it was like, I wouldn't want to be on an all fat guy episode of something. I don't want that. I don't want to check your box. Just have me on because you like my work. I'm not against there being women presenters, but I'm not proud to be on that episode because that feels like pandering. It feels patronizing or patronizing, depending on how you say it. But that's I don't want that. I would never want to be on something because I checked the box and not because of the caliber of my work or my abilities. So, that's where I talk about the overcorrection. Well, this year we'll have all females on the Oscars, and Black Lives Matter was big this year. So next Oscars will be all black presenters, right? Let's have the most patronizing things ever. And those people who were pretending like they were the beacons and heralds of change, we'll just pat them on the head and let them be the presenters. And that will mean that you've made a difference. It's so, I don't know. I find it moronic, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a fat guy in a microphone. Let me tell you. So, having said that, I want to wish a very happy birthday to the one of my favorites, Rodney Dangerfield, the late, great Rodney Dangerfield. His birthday was November 22nd. I want to give a big shout out to Rodney Dangerfield. I was talking to a friend recently who had no idea who that was, and I'm like, that's tragic that you have no idea who he is. So I am going to play you guys some of Mr. Dangerfield's work. He was a one-liner comic, one of my favorite. Absolutely, like, one of my favorites in the business. There's a lot of one-liner guys that are popular. Guys like, Henny Youngman is very old. He's the, take my wife, please. My wife said, I want to go somewhere I've never been before. I said, hey, try the kitchen. Doctor says, what is it? Doctor gives a guy 6 months to live, couldn't pay his bill, gave him another 6 months. So Henny Youngman was a classic one-liner comic. Then there's also guys like Mitch Hedberg, famous one-liner comics that are more popular today, right? More people know who they were today. But I think the main thing for me, there's another one. Stephen Wright, another absolutely amazing one-liner comic. Absolutely fucking hysterical. I'm going to see how loud this is, gang. But let's see what we got here. Can we hear anything? Okay, I'm turning it up. Turning it up. Turning it up. Hey, oops, the little microphone thing is off. I guess there's no sound on the video. All right, well, that makes things easier. How about this here? We got sound. I have to turn. Wait. All right, there we go. Okay, so we got a little bit of Rodney sounds here. So I'm going to share with you guys some of the thing. I'm sorry if it blasts quick. Alphonics should save your ears, but yeah, Rodney Dangerfield, great one-liner comic, one of my favorites. I'll put this on for you guys to enjoy.
I tell you, folks, with me, nothing comes easy. You know, I can't lose any weight. I tried jogging. I keep running into restaurants.
No, I tell you, I'm a little upset myself lately. My wife keeps bothering me. I'm putting on weight, you know. Yeah, she keeps coming up with new diets all the time. Well, one week she put me on a grapefruit diet. Yeah, for 7 days I had 10 grapefruits a day. It ended up I lost 4 pounds. I got a citrus rash.
No, but I'm running around. I gained weight back, Johnny.
Really?
You know what I mean? Hey, you don't eat properly in a road. You're running around all the time, you know, and it's tough to, you know, lose weight when you're all jumping around a bit, you know. And but I was much heavier. I was fat, you kidding. I was so fat when I got my shoes shone, I had to take the guy's word for it. I mean, I was fat, I'll tell you that. My doctor, he don't help either. He told me to run 5 miles a day for 2 weeks. I called him up. I said, Doc, I'm 70 miles from my house. It's another beauty, my family doctor. He told me I need exercise in the right climate. Then he told me to run to Arizona. Doctors say all kinds of exercise is great. You burn up energy, you lose calories. I mean, in fact, doctors say when a man makes love to a woman, he burns up energy, he loses 150 calories. I made love to a girl once and lost even more. I lost 150 calories, my watch, and my wallet. I mean, where I come from, when I was a kid, you had to eat. You had to be big. Every day there was a fight. And you had to fight. Even if you didn't want to fight. You had to fight to get out of the fight. And sometimes we used to bet in a fight. If the guy we bet on lost, then we beat him up. I tell you, I can't relax. My kid drives me nuts. The other day I told him, I says, you're young, you don't have it upstairs. He told me I'm old, I don't have it downstairs. Getting old, Johnny.
Old, huh?
I told my wife I want to die in bed. She said, again? Getting old, I'm not a kid anymore. I know I'm getting old. In Vegas, I played a slot machine, 3 prunes came up. I know I'm getting old. I'm at the age now, if I hear someone goes both ways, I figure it's number 1 and number 2, you know. I'm not a kid. I'm getting older, Johnny. I'm getting old. You kidding? I took a vacation, went to Mexico. I got the walks. Can't get girls anymore. You kidding?
Tough, huh?
Now, at my age, you become a hooky. Oh, you kidding? My age, to me, the daily double is prune juice and an enema. My last birthday cake, I couldn't blow out the candles. The heat drove me back. You get older, it's tough to get girls. Tough, I tell you, John. The best thing to be is bisexual. Then you got a shot at everybody. Oh, I know I'm getting old. If I squeeze into a parking place, I'm sexually satisfied. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm getting old. Yeah. I know I'm getting old. Well, my last birthday cake looked like a prairie fire. You know how it is. I know I'm getting old. At my age, I want 2 girls at once, you know. Yeah, if I fall asleep, they got each other to talk to. And I tell you, I can't relax, you know. My dog drives me nuts. My dog. He wants me to mate him. I wouldn't mate him. Let him go through what I go through. I mean, last week was rough. Are you kidding? Last week I looked up my family tree. 2 dogs were using it. I mean, when I was a kid, it was different. I had it rough. When I was 2 years old, my parents got a dog, and I was jealous of the dog. So they got rid of me. My wife, I got no sex life. The dog keeps watching me in the bedroom, wants to learn how to beg. I told him to watch my wife and learn how to roll over and play dead. I tell you, it's tough to stay married to my wife. How do you think I feel? She kissed the dog on the lips and she won't drink from my glass. I tell you, I'm sorry. I was a little late getting here tonight. You know, my dog, he started trouble again. I mean, I got a dog, he tries to run the whole house. Well, the other night he started trouble. He went over the front door, he started to bark. I went over, I opened the front door. The dog didn't want to go out, he wanted me to leave. With my dog, too, she gives me trouble.
Your dog?
Yeah. I got a female dog, you know. I tried to mate her, she wants 50 biscuits. And I tell you, I got a dumb dog, too, my dog. We call him Egypt. Every room he leaves a pyramid. Are you kidding? I know I'm ugly. My dog found out we look alike. He killed himself.
How many kids you had?
I got 2 kids. I love my kids.
Yeah, you know, I know that.
Kids, of course, but our boy gives me trouble lately.
Yeah, really?
He's at the age now he copies everything. He sees something, he copies it, you know. This kid imitates everything.
Yeah.
That's why we got rid of the dog.
You all right?
My wife can't do nothing right. She can't cook, the worst cook in the world. Gave my kid alphabet soup. He spelled out help. What a lousy cook. I mean, how can toast have bones? She's a lousy cook, too. She can't cook at all. I leave dental floss in the kitchen, the roaches hang themselves. And I tell you, my wife, she can't cook either. My house, we pray after we eat. I bought a pressure cooker. Now I eat off the ceiling. What a lousy cook. I don't think meatloaf should glow in the dark. I mean, if she can't cook at all, my backyard, the flies chipped in to fix the screen door. Now, I tell you, my wife with eating is always problems. She's a strict vegetarian. In fact, when I met her, she was grazing on the front lawn. I mean, she can't cook at all. She made chocolate mousse and antler got stuck on my throat. What's really annoying with my wife, the way she serves a meal.
Serves badly?
Terrible.
No.
I mean, you put down a steak. How do you forget the plate?
Rodney Dangerfield, everybody. Some of you might feel like that went a little bit long. I fucking love the guy. So funny. I tell you, you know. Last week, my proctologist, he's talking, what does he say? He goes, yeah, I know I'm ugly, you know. Last week, my proctologist stuck his finger in my mouth. Such a fucking great act. I used to date this fat chick. I tell you, she was fat. How fat was she? She was so fat, she used to wear a wristwatch on each arm, you know. She took up 2 time zones. Yeah, one of my favorites to watch, Rodney Dangerfield. Oh, jeez. And he was in a lot of movies, too. He's in a very famous movie called Back to School. Caddyshack, some remember. And that was like one of his big breakthrough roles where they started putting him in a movie I loved. One of the first things I saw before I even knew he was a stand-up comedian was the movie Ladybugs with, I think, Jonathan Brandis, I believe. And, yeah, great movie. Great movie. Oh, my God. Great movie. What else we got going on here? There we go. What did I say? One of the best, please. Yep. Did all that. Crossing it off the list here, guys. Oh, we are banging through this episode. Look at that. 45 minutes in, according to this. I got my aroma kits from Scotland. That was a little annoying. So I'm a whiskey guy, as you're aware. I've given you guys all sorts of info in the past. There is a thing about smelling whiskey or wines or anything like that where like you'll read a bottle and it's like, oh, aromas of, dark fruits and apricots with nuttiness and, smoke and vanillas and charred oak and things like that. And you're like, how the fuck? And you smell it. You're like, oh, it smells like alcohol. It smells like burning. It smells like, it smells like sweet and smoke. And that's it. Like, so the idea is that, until you've developed the patterns in your head, until you know what something smells like, your brain's just going to kind of categorize it as what it understands best. And your brain may only understand, burning or alcohol or gasoline or whatever, ethanol or whatever it's smelling. So in order to build up those patterns in your head, in order to know what those things taste like, you need to have a point of reference so that you're not just like everything's like gasoline or whatever. So the idea with these aroma kits, I got 2 of them. There's one that they have, the Aroma Academy is in Scotland, and they have these different nosing kits. They've got one for whiskey in general, which I think is more pertaining to Scotch, Scottish whiskeys, or a very broad brush of most of the things in regular whiskeys. And then there's like a bourbon box, which has more of like orange peel and vanillas and caramels and things like that are more predominant towards bourbon. So my 2 favorite, like there's no rye box because rye is kind of very distinct smell, just kind of spice. But there's one for wine. So if you're someone who enjoys wine, then there's an actual aroma kit for wine where they'll have like, pencil shavings or dark fruits like plums or lime and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, just for fun here, I'm going to hit pause. I'll let you guys know what's in the wine box just for fun. Well, the results were pictures. It doesn't actually have the list of what it is. So there's like a lot of different fruits, apricots, asparagus, green apples, berries, currant, butter, wood, citrus, orange peel. Then there's a picture of a bird. So I'm assuming it's pheasant or something. These weird like onion things I don't understand. There's cut grass, green peppers, honey. And then there's just a bunch of pictures of cows. So is it like what, methane? Prairie, is that a smell? And then there's like pears and what the fuck is that? Oh, mint. Is that mint or basil? Anyways, it's just an aroma kit. So you can smell them. Pineapple rose toast. It's a piece of toast. So is it like what? Toasted bread? Vanilla. Is that lilac? I don't recognize that flower. It's a purple flower, but it's not a lilac. And then, cut wood or something. I don't know. Anyways, the idea is I got 2 of the aroma kits. They were expensive. I would say all said and done by the time they were landed. And of course I order them and then I get hit with this customs charge. Like I get an email a couple days later saying, hey, the customs on this is $50 some. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So each box, all said and done, $200 a piece. But if you're an enthusiast like me, that's, I could spend that on a bottle of whiskey. So the idea that these are things that are going to allow me to help train my nose and smell the different aromas and things like that and build those strong patterns distinctly. So as much, because one of the things I have an issue with is when I smell the ones in a bourbon's got a lot of caramel, a lot of honey, a lot of vanilla, right? A lot of butterscotch. And those 4 things to me, like as much as I could smell vanilla and go, oh, okay, it smells like vanilla. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish honey from caramel to butterscotch to vanilla because they're all those sweet sort of same vein kind of things. So having these things like this allows you to more distinctly be able to pick things out. Same with like having the orange peel. And it's not like you smell something and it's got 1 scent. That's what's so marvelous about whiskeys is, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second when I, talk about my whiskey tasting with Buddy Aaron, is there's so many layers of smells and aromas in a whiskey versus a vodka. What does it smell like? It smells like burning. It smells like ethanol. Really, it smells like ethanol, rubbing alcohol. You know what I mean? It just smells like alcohol. So it's nice to be able to build those patterns. I'm looking forward to, here come the yawns. There you go, Angie. My pal Angie's always like, she laughs her ass off and then starts counting how many times I'm going to yawn an episode. We're at that point. We're at the old yawnerino point. Well, I'm going to get this episode done. I'm going to get the next one done too. By God, have it back on track and be back on time for my onesies because I love you guys. I love you guys so much. So yeah, anyways, I'll tell you guys more about this. I've not had a chance to actually sit down and start smelling them and everything like that, but I've got all these whiskey training courses and tasting courses and things like that. I got enough whiskeys here that I can sit and pour myself some different ones and make little notes and whatnot. So I'll read the books that came with it and have myself a nice little whiskey adventure sometime soon. Number two. I gotta switch from beer to coffee now. So yeah, I'll tell you guys more about that when there's more to tell. And then finally, my evening with my pal Aaron DeMel, good buddy of mine. He's the one we went to during COVID. Him and I drove to Montreal to pick up a couple bottles of Ardbeg. Ooh, one of the distilleries I visited on the lovely island of Islay. God, it's good whiskey. Son of another one with just fucking layers of flavors. God damn it. And I haven't even opened my bottle of Ugadale. I drank it purely on the island, on the Isle of Islay, and I would fucking go back. I'd go back again and ask questions, and God, I would spend a week on that island and every day just fucking fanboy out at a different distillery. There's a new one there and I keep forgetting the name of it, but it's like brand spanking new. I don't even think that they're shipping internationally yet. Or at least overseas. Maybe they're shipping, Europe and whatnot, but I know that the 7 on Islay, I'm going to get the easy ones out of the way, right? The 3 I went to, Lafroig, Lagavulin, and Ardbeg. Then we've got Colila, we've got Bamor, and Bruichladdich, and Bunnahabhain are the 7 distilleries on Islay. And then there's the 8th one there. And this, actually, no, I think there's 9 there. Bunnahabhain, for fuck's sakes. All right, we're back to Googling. Distilleries. How do I spell this? I'm spelling it right. Distilleries on Islay. And this will give me the new one too. Not Osla. Islay. Distilleries on Islay. Distilleries on Islay.com. Hey, we got 9. I knew it was 9, not 7. Okay. Ardbeg. Okay. Ardnahoe is the new one that I was thinking of. Okay. So Ardnahoe. So there's 9. It was 8 that I was thinking. Like I missed, the one that I missed was Kilchoman. Okay, so Kilchoman's on there. But I was right, Lafroig, Lagavulin, and Ardbeg. Then there's Bamor and Bruichladdich, Colila. Ardbeg, Ardnaho, Beaumont, Bruichladdich, Bunnahabhain, Colilla, Kilchoman, Lagavulin, and Laphroaig. Closed distilleries. Oh, this hurts. This hurts me heart. Ardmore is closed. Lockendall, Port Charlotte. So like the big one, if you can get your hands on a bottle of it, know that it'll be worth worth a lot of money. Although I have heard whispers. I've heard whispers that Port Ellen will reopen. But Port Ellen Distillery, that's where we landed on the ferry, and then you just drive up the road to Laphroaig, Lagavulin, and Ardbeg. But Port Ellen makes me sad. Makes me sad that they're closed. Anyways, I heard that there was absolutely outstanding whiskey from Port Ellen, and you can still find bottles with the LCBO, but they're like $5,000-$6,000, you know. But hey. All right, so love to go back. Love to fucking taste some more of that great shit. Anyways, Aaron and I, couple of whiskey fucks, and Aaron was like, "Hey, you want to do some, taste some whiskey? We'll sit down, have a drink." What happened was he actually found me a bottle of Suntory whiskey. It's Japanese whiskey called Hibiki Japanese Harmony, and it is a very, very nice Japanese whiskey. Japanese single malts are, I don't want to say underrated, because the people who know definitely praise them. But if you're somebody who's like, oh, I'm going to spend $100 on a bottle of scotch, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to fucking buy Japanese whiskey. Japanese whiskey has its roots in Scottish whiskey making, and a lot of them single malts and things like that. And a lot of the people that, so for what it's worth, my favorite whiskey, Laphroaig, and pretty much a close second is Lagavulin. And just about anything that comes from Islay. That peat taste in a scotch makes my pecker hard. Let me tell you. But the Laphroaig is owned by Beam Suntory, which happens to be the same place that owns Suntory whiskey, the Hibiki Japanese Harmony that Aaron picked up for me. $130 a bottle, and what a whiskey it is. And Beam Suntory, you're like, oh, Beam sounds familiar. Yeah, Jim Beam. How about that? Beam Suntory. So the Suntory company and Jim Beam are owned together. It's one company now, Beam Suntory, and they's a big whiskey powerhouse. Let me tell you. I mean, I don't know if they're bigger than Diageo, but they's big. They's goddamn big. And so Suntory whiskey, if that tells you anything, Hibiki Japanese Harmony. So Aaron found a bottle. He reached out to me. He's like, hey man, I found a few bottles of this at the store here near my place. Do you want me to pick one up for you? And I said, absolutely. I haven't been able to find it for a while. We were going to drive all the way back to Montreal to get our hands on a bottle, so I'm glad that we had it locally right now. And what else? Sorry. I was gonna just let the yawn play out with it, breathing it in your ears, but I'm like, you know what? Then there might be too much hang time. I don't know about you, but I listen to podcasts and stuff when I'm cooking and whatnot. And like, if there's like 1 or 2 seconds straight of silence, I immediately like go to look at my phone to see if like the thing paused itself or if I'm getting a call or something like that. So, anywho, he came over with that, and he also brought me a couple other Japanese whiskeys that he managed to get his hands on. And we, I'm trying to remember what it was that we tasted, because we were drinking all sorts of different stuff. We had, what was called, okay, so there's 2 different ones here, and it's from the Nikka Whiskey Company in Japan. Nikka, but the way they have it categorized at the LCBO is not Nikka whiskey. They have it called this. So, we tried 2 different whiskeys from the Nikka Whiskey Company. There's one called Yoichi Single Malt and Miyagikyo Single Malt. The Yoichi, Woichi. If you can get your hands on a bottle of it, get it. I have since got one. It's funny. My mom's like, I don't know what to get you for Christmas. I want to get you a bottle of whiskey. And I was like, listen, I just tried this shit. That's fucking fantastic. If you want, she's like, if you know where to get it, just, I'll send you the money now. Pick it up. She's like, I'd wait to get it to Christmas, but I don't know what it is. I also don't want her going out to the busy stores and stuff this time of year. So she was just like, look, if that's what you want, I'd be happy to get you a bottle and we'll call it your Christmas present. I was like, hey, I am down with that. So I got my hands on a bottle. Fucking so happy. I won't be opening it for a while, but Aaron and I drank it. Courtesy of him, big thank yous for that. it was great. The Yoichi single malt. So there's two of them. There's the Yoichi and then there's the Miyagikyo single malt. Now, they have another one available from Nika, which is basically a blend of the two, the blend of the Yoichi and the blend of the Miyagikyo, but it's cheaper than both. So if you buy the two I just mentioned, there's basically a blue and a purple bottle. You guys want the blue one. All right, that's my suggestion. The blue bottle and the purple bottle, both $93. But the black bottle, which is a blend of the two, was like $80. And I'm like, well, how do you blend the two expensive ones and get a cheaper one? So I was, Aaron and I went out and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get one of those ones. And they have it, there's one box close by. So we drove out, to see it. And when I got there, they didn't have it, but they did have they're like, are you here? I'm looking for a whiskey. And they're like, are you here for the Michter's 10-year-old? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, cause we've had so many people calling cause we got the last couple bottles in the area. And I was like, well, I'm familiar with Michter's and it's got an unbelievable fucking reputation. So give it to me. I was like, I'll take it. $210 for the fucking whiskey. Jesus Christ. So, I kept the receipt. No, I'm really looking forward to trying Michter's. Their regular stuff is $90 a bottle. But it is a very well-respected, very, very good whiskey. Bourbon. My bourbon shelf is bigger than my Scotch shelf, but of course bourbons are easier to come by than Scotch, and especially with price tags. But fuck, I'm a happy boy, guys. I think if I'm going to be stuck back under a lockdown again, as these numbers keep climbing, I can pour myself a little dram of this nice stuff and sit and read a book and just sip. That's the thing too. I don't know if I've ever misrepresented this. But I don't drink a bottle of whiskey in a sitting. I don't drink half or a quarter of a bottle. I pour myself an ounce and I will take an hour to just smell and sip that and enjoy it. The Yoichi single malt that Aaron brought, I can say this with confidence. No exaggeration. I have never smelled a whiskey for so long before sipping it. It was unbelievable. I'm gonna move my mic and sit back in my chair to take you guys on this aromatic journey that I went on. So again, when people are smelling something, I don't know, some people think it's pretentious. I don't have any intention to be pretentious. I don't whiskey shame or anything like that. I don't pretend I'm better. It just happens to be something that I kind of got into through marketing and ending up with a few bottles in my hand. And then before and then I'm like, okay, well now I got all these bottles. I guess I got a whiskey collection. I may as well learn a little bit about it and what's the difference and what do I like and what do I not. And it's just kind of a cool hobby. I'm not waist deep in it like I once was, but hey, this time of year, if someone's like, what can I get you? What do you get for the guy who has everything? Fuck, whiskey. Go find, I should register. I know I'm never gonna get married or have kids or anything like that. I'd love to, but that's how it feels right now. It feels like I'm never gonna find that special someone. Yeah, I would definitely register at the LCBO. Just have a list of whiskeys. Josh would like to get him something. Well, he's already got this one. Here's the list of stuff he doesn't have. Because man, oh man, do I like me some whiskey. And the fucking science and tradition. Anyways, the whole idea is that there's very few ingredients in an actual whiskey, right? A lot of the flavors and smells and stuff like that, it's coming from the air that breathes into it and everything like that. So it's just unbelievable to me, the smells that you can find in a whiskey, and they're not there. When you smell orange, you're not right. There's no orange in it. There was never any orange added to it. Sometimes if you smell sherry, then yes, there's a little bit of sherry in it, usually from the barrel. So it'll take characteristics. Same with oakiness. It's it's taking those characteristics, and same with peat, right? That peat smoke is from the process of being peat smoked. So there's some things that are there, but then there's when you're oh, it's dark fruits. It's not a wine. It was never made with dark fruits. It was never made with grapes or anything like that. That just happens to be the way things are coming together. Sometimes the salty brininess is from the sea air of where it was, the Scotch whiskeys, whereas the heat and the dark color, all that coming from the wood. again, for anyone who knows their whiskey, there's a few places in Scotland that are allowed to put a little bit of caramel coloring in to give it a darker look. Not caramel flavoring, just caramel color number, whatever. I think like number 7 or whatever. But the idea is it's so cool to me. Like they will not allow you to do that in America. So the color that you see, if it's labeled, Kentucky straight bourbon or straight bourbon, aged 4 years, and they are not legally allowed to call it that if they've put coloring or anything like that in it. So those colors are coming from the aging process and everything like that. Just staring at the fucking shelf. God, guys, there's some good goddamn bottles up there. Making me thirsty. Anyways, this Yoichi Japanese whiskey. It's a single malt, so malted grains, single distillery. But I smelled this for so long. I just fucking glass in hand, smelling back and forth. The different nostrils, just which one's less clogged up than the other. And you're doing a lot of like in and then out, and just clearing them out afterwards, just getting these smells in. But I got to tell you guys, I didn't smell any smokiness. They were saying like, I think they said a little bit of peat or whatever it was. For fuck's sakes, let me read you the bottle. I think I've paused and whoop, bang the bottle into the mic. Not drunk. I think the label's all goofy on this one. There, that's better. So by the Nikka Whiskey Distilling Company Ltd. Limited in Japan, distilled and matured at Nikka Takoroji Distillery. It actually says it exactly like that on it. Okay, so that's what it says. Yoichi single malt. This is a single malt from the Yoichi Distillery, Nikka's first distillery built in 1934. The founder, Masataka Takatsuru, chose Yoichi in Hokkaido because of the similar environment conditions in Scotland, where he learned whiskey making. Yoichi single malt has pleasant peaty notes. I did not find any notes of peat whatsoever, and peat's one of my favorites. And smokiness, a little bit of smoke, originating from the traditional direct coal-filtered distillation, as well as a briny hint delivered by sea breeze during the aging process. That's all it says. My experience with Yoichi was this, the note that was the strongest for me in it. Like, I guess, it smelled like alcohol, but that wasn't even the main thing of it. Oh, I wish you guys could see me right now, laying back in my chair. My mic's still right in my face because this great music stand that I use, but oh man. Sorry, just wiping the dust off it. Man, was that ever a good whiskey. The note that I was getting was like, it was sweet, but it was so light. Like, it was such a light sweetness. And I feel like, because I got the note later, like a different note. So this is what happened. I was smelling, I'm just like, oh, fuck, it's so sweet. Sorry, I'm swinging my arms and I'm hitting the stand here. It was such a sweet note. And I don't mean like intense sweet. It wasn't like caramel or anything sweets that you normally find in like bourbons and stuff. It wasn't, I didn't find it to be particularly fruity. I wasn't like, oh, this is apricot or plums or any of these kind of things. I've since, so this is what I was doing. I was talking with Aaron. I was like, it's like floral. It smells like fresh flowers, but it's not, it's too sweet to be floral. But it's not like, it's almost like honey, but honey is a heavy, thick, sweet smell. And it's too light to be honey. It's too sweet to be floral, but it's somewhere right in between, like this sweet floral taste. And eventually I was like, you know what it's like? Is like when you take a lilac and you pluck it and you suck the nectar out of it. It's like, well, that's almost the smell that I'm getting, and that sweet note when I taste it. It's almost like there's a nectar taste to this. And he was like, really? And he was smelling. He's like, yeah, I can see like a sweet nectar sort of smell to it. So light and thin and fresh. It was just fresh sweet. I don't know I know that sounds probably crazy, but I was just like, I just was smelling, trying to put my finger. I'm like, oh God. And after we had drank it for a bit, that's when I was like, yeah, and just go back to just smelling. And I'm like, Jesus, so good. But here's the thing, since I've seen some notes and I saw like a pear note, and pears have a light sweet smell, kind of nectary. So the only issue is that I wish I'd had like a pear with me and been able to like, cut and taste and smell the pear and then kind of go back to it. So I would say if I had to pick a fruit, if nectar wasn't a right thing, I would say a nice light sweet pear would probably be the closest smell and taste to this. But fuck, am I ever thrilled to have a bottle of this stuff? And was it ever good? Was it ever good? Big thank you to Aaron for bringing it over. We drank this. We drank the purple bottle. The other bottle was like more, it was sherry, aged in sherry barrels as well. So it had that sort of sherry finish and everything like that, which normally I like. But between the two, this one seemed sweeter. So for one that isn't aged in sherry and one that is, this guy was I clear front runner. The Yoichi over the Miyagikyo, Miyagikyo single malt. So happy guy, gang. Had a great time. Aaron, thanks so much. We also drank, I went out and got us some cigars that day. So Aaron and I were out in the front. We had played around with some different whiskeys. I tapped into my bourbon infinity bottle, which has just an amazing blend in there. But we drank the 2 Japanese whiskeys. We drank a Gooderham and Worts rye. We had some bourbon from my infinity bottle. I think that was all that and we had a little bit of a Lagavulin 8-year-old. So just a great time all around. Smoked some cigars, shot the shit. It was just cool to see my buddy. And then I think we got some McDonald's because we been drinking. And so we're like, McDonald's, we're making bad decisions. Great time. All right, gang. Contact at onemanpodcast.com. Send me anything that you want to know. Send me your thoughts on pizza. Send me your thoughts on whatever it is. You know me, I'm really digging to hear it. That would be an amazing early Christmas gift from my listeners to hear what you guys have to say about anything. I'm always happy to hear from you. You guys have a wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you again soon.